Day 30. Good afternoon, everybody. Wellbeing Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Si Gowing, and we've left it a little bit late today for today's episode. We made a decision at 6 o'clock this morning, a little bit tired, so I just thought rather than force an episode, not sure what I'm going to say on the topic of eat well, the fourth pillar skill area of health. So we talked about 3 days ago relaxing well, and we talked about sleeping well, then we talked about moving well, which was yesterday. So today we're going to talk about the fourth skill area, which is eating well. So it is now 5:30 in the evening, and it is a glorious day. I've done still in my work gear from the 2 weight management classes this morning. That went well. We've got a few more people wanting to join the school community and a few more people wanting to take my free health 4-minute scorecard health assessment, which will lead people into getting a free health score on a visual. And then next week I'm going to be looking at running a free live masterclass, 60 minutes, level up your scorecard score. So if you're picking this up by next week, then you may be able to get onto the free masterclass to help level up your scores, and the details will be published over the next couple of days within the school community. Still free at the moment, so if you're picking this up and it's still free, you'll notice that by going to the link in the show notes, episode notes, link to my school, Wellbeing Made Easy school community, is where I'm channeling all the content, etc. So just been to Holland and Barrett here in the UK, my local town, where I get my monthly nuts from, my healthy mixed nuts. Pistachios, almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and I like to get a bargain, so I like to spend sort of about £22, buy one get one free or 3 for 2 on the mixed offer, which it was, and we like to eat some healthy nuts, a handful of nuts a day, very calorific, but very good for the brain, very good for fullness, which leads me nicely into the topic of eating well. So what do we mean by eating well? Well, we know from research that if we're putting poor fuel into our bodies, if we put the wrong fuel or poor fuel into our cars or vehicles, then it's going to perform not as well as good food, as good cars, as good biology. So we want to be thinking about it. So keeping it very man-proof, very sort of simple, in or out, up or down, black or white. We've got choices, and we can choose to put good food in, choose to put bad food in, or a combination. So depending on your upbringing, your experience, your beliefs, your values, what you've been told, and it depends on your sort of philosophy, really, on what you believe and what you say to yourself, the stories we tell ourselves. Everything's okay in moderation is what I'm talking about. And it's the wrong kind of foods, i.e. junk calories, talk about that in a second. Is it okay in moderation? I don't know. It may be for you, depending on what your goals are. Everybody's goals are different. So for me, mine is economizing of effort and focus on cellular energy, trying to hit the mitochondria, which is the powerhouses of the body, the cells, hundreds of trillions of cells within the body that are dying daily, is to recharge them and optimize cellular energy. That is one of my main goals, And I believe most people are fighting for energy today in a over caffeination. Hence coffee shops, caffeine's okay, but we are overstimulating with sugary drinks, fighting the tiredness, fatigue, overwhelm, overdrive, burnout, etc. But if we can put some good nutrients in there, get some good sleep, good movement, relaxation, me time, move well, eat well, sleep well, and connect well, which will come tomorrow, then you've probably got a little bit better chance than most people, who don't prioritise their health. For me, my health is priority over my family, because I can't show up for you, myself, and I'm no good to anybody if I don't put my own oxygen mask on first. So I focus, and I've done for the last 15, 20 years, focused on my nutrition. For those who know me, I have. And I'm not perfect, far from it. I do overindulge now and again. It's human biology, and we do crave sweetness, bittersweet. We don't really crave sour. So when I get the pink lady apples, 6 for £2.50, £2.50 here in Lidl, in the main supermarkets closest to where we live, Tesco's and Sainsbury's, they're £2.50 for 4. You go to Lidl, pink ladies are 6, so you get an extra 2 apples. Same thing. And they're very sweet, really sweet and succulent and juicy. And apples are not meant to be sweet, succulent and juicy. They're actually quite sour, like a lot of fruit should be. However, it's all been modified and inflamed, etc. So it is what it is today. Probably comes from the same supplier in the big warehouse in London into the country. There used to be 400 types of banana, for an example, many years ago. And today there's one type of banana, for example. And I remember sort of about 10 years ago when I heard the figures, the stats of there was 95% less potassium and sodium back then in banana, which is minerals, sodium and potassium, and that was back then, let alone there's only one type of banana today. So not only is the quality of food gone down the spout, unless you're growing your own, you've got total control over the seed to feed. I believe there's less potassium in the soil these days than there ever has been. So we're fighting battles not only over the quality of the food, so we have to eat more of it, which is more calories, gain more weight, etc, etc. So depending on what the story you're telling yourself, depending on what you're eating, but the main message from my point of view, from my experience, is we want to be going for nutrient rich, nutrient dense foods. Okay, switching your whites from white potatoes, white rice, white breads over to whites, over to browns, whole grain, whole meals. And this is what the weight management program I'm teaching on behalf of the NHS, National Health Service within the UK, in line with Public Health England and in line with the World Health Organization, is a starchy rich whole grain, whole meal food. Not too many ingredients in there. A potato is a potato, carrot is a carrot, broccoli is broccoli, etc. It's not got all these foreign agents and artificial, capital letters, artificial additives, sweeteners. That's playing along with the neurochemistry in our brains. That's causing us to overeat. It's telling our brains that we've not eaten, we need more, and that's what sugar does. Talked about sugar today on one of the sessions, and Dr. Gabor Mate and Daniel Amen, psychiatrists in their 60s, 70s, maybe 80s, talked about 1 teaspoon of sugar into a child can suppress their immune system up to 4 or 5 hours. We'll talk about sugar another time. So and the recommendations on sugar within the UK, yes, it has dropped. It's gone down to 30 grams, which is 5 or 6 teaspoons of sugar a day minimum for an age of 11 years of age up is quite crazy, shocking. A lot of sugar, maximum. That's what it's suggested. It's crazy. But anyway, we'll talk more about sugar another time. And we do need sugar in the body. The brain lives off sugar, which is glucose. So giving the body a teaspoon of honey, the brain, or giving it some fruit before bed is probably a wise thing to do, compared to loads of junk calories, which I call junk calories, which has got no nutrients in there. You know, sugary treats and so on and so forth. So again, it depends what you live like, depending on what your focus is. If it's heart health, if it's trying to avoid cancer, you might be on an holistic type diet from the dietitian. You might want to lose a bit of weight, you might want to get energy, you might want everything, depending on what your outcomes are, depending on what your goals are. And you can tell when you take nutritional dense foods, and it fills you up for longer. It fills the satiety, so you're satiated for longer, you're full, you get more energy, you don't need as much of it. So for an example, a sweet potato, half a sweet potato, sort of compared to a full white potato. Potatoes are good, nothing wrong with potatoes, so it depends how you do it. So, you know, and what your goals are. So try to look up nutrient rich foods, nutrient dense, handful of nuts if you can take nuts, healthy nuts, not chocolate coated nuts. You know, try to aim at your 5 to 7 a day, but what you don't want to be doing is having 6 apples a day, 7 bananas a day. Yeah, you want to try an apple a day will keep the doctor away, but 5 apples a day will put you in hospital. Okay, a lot of sugar, which is fructose, fruit sugar, fructose. We'll talk more about sugar another time. So nutrient rich, whole grain, whole meal. And when I talk about nutritional labels, I'm going to be packaging this and doing a session on this and shoving it in the school community. I'm going to be packaging the whole 12-week weight management program, portion control, energy balance, eat well guide, physical activity, nutritional labels and claims, triggers, dietary fat, sugars, alcohol, takeaways, healthy meal ideas, long-term behaviour change and weight loss, managing lapses, etc. All this is going to get packaged. I'm going to video this and I'm going to be selling it for a one-off product fee. But if you're in my free school community, it's free. You can have access to all this. So make sure, if you're listening to this, see if the community's not turned to a paid community, or you can buy the program. You can buy the one-off lifetime access one-off fee. Might be something like 97 bucks for a one-off to have it all, or it's free. It's free if you're in the free community, but if that becomes paid, or when it becomes paid, then low-cost membership, probably $7 a month. So you can pay the one-off, or you can pay £7 low-cost membership, cancel at any time. But if you are in the school community before I turn it to a paid, which is soon, so be quick. Click the school link below in the show notes. See the landing page. You can see if it's free or paid, and you can see how many people's in there. Okay, so talking about nutritional labels. Okay, I'm not going to go on one, but when you're looking at nutritional labels on the topic of sugar, if you can't spell the ingredients, anything more than 6, 7, 8, 9, definitely 10 ingredients, it's not real food. Artificial sweeteners, loads of E numbers, your E numbers, E1 to probably E3000 probably, as all glue, it's fillers, it's artificial, okay, sweeteners and flavourings, etc. Okay, and you don't want to be putting too many of them in you, okay, hence the ready meals, etc, etc. So, looking at the labels, anything you can't spell or pronounce, then I would eliminate, I would avoid, okay? And we'll talk more about this when I deliver the session on nutritional labels. And also it's worth listening to Dr. Chris Van Tuliken, Ultra Processed People. His latest book, I've not listened to it, it's a fairly thick book, you probably get from a library or buy it cheap. I've not read it, but I've listened to his work on podcasts. 2-hour podcast with Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, who's a GP, 2-3 decades worth of clinical practice, over 10,000 thousands of patients, whose Feel Better Live Longer podcast, really worth tuning into. And they chatted with each other on his new book, and he talks about processed foods, how it's killing us, and food companies, profit companies are, we do need food. They're not there to kill us, they're not there to add sugar to drop our teeth, make our teeth fall out, etc., but they're there purely for profit. Okay, and we're talking about all these neuromodulators they're putting in food science technicians are putting food, playing around with the food, sort of food scientists to make better products, yes, to stop people going into nutritional sciences, which is a new field, I think, over the last 10 years, I think, so, playing around with and disrupting the industry. So these cereals and these Jaffa cakes, these Doritos, all do the same thing. Michael Moss talks about this in his book Hooked, HOOKED, and Sugar, Salt and Fat. Worth checking out. Michael Moss, MOSS. Worth checking out his work. But going back to the podcast, Van Tuliken talks about the neuromodulators, and it's early days with the sweeteners and everything. It's really, really crazy on what things do. And he talks about a trial they've ran with regards to, or there was a study done with 4 groups of people, that 6-month trial, I think it was. I might have got the duration wrong, and I might have got the quantities wrong, but they allowed the trial people, one group, to drink milk, I think a pint or a litre of milk, another one to drink a pint or a litre of water, another one to drink full fizzy drinks, okay, carbonated drinks, and also one with low calorie stroke no sugar, low calorie no sugar, your Coke Zero for example, in this country. And the interesting figure was, after 6 months of consuming these drinks, the water group didn't gain weight, the milk group didn't gain weight, the full sugar version, they gained about, I think it was about half a stone, 6 to 8 pounds in weight gain in 6 months, which was expected. And then, it might have been 12, might have been about a stone, I think, might be, 14 pounds. But the interesting finding was the one that did low calorie stroke zero, Coke Zero and that sort of stuff. Not sure which brands it was, but they actually gained half a stone. So, by low calorie, no calorie, no sugar. Which is crazy, and because they're putting these sweeteners in there, again, look at the drinks, the fizzy drinks, etc., and the neuromodulators, which are playing with the neurochemistry in the brain, which is saying you've not eaten, you need to eat more. And it's the same effect when you start drinking alcohol. You don't crave carrots and broccoli, okay? It doesn't go glass of wine with glass of wine, chewing on a carrot or broccoli, it doesn't wash, it doesn't go down. And then if you're eating junk food, Friday, Saturday night, Sunday night, junk food tricks, it's the weekends here, then you may turn to alcohol, because that's the opposite effect as well. So we've got to be careful. 60-70% of the UK diet is processed food, ultra processed, ultra highly treated. Processed is not bad, but ultra highly treated and processed, if it's milks, if it's foods, ready meals, 3 for 7, etc., etc. This is all having a negative effect on our biochemical responses in the body, so we've got to be careful. So what we want to be doing is limiting and minimizing and starting to pull back and give our body some good nutritious food and vegetables, controlling the blood glucose sugar spikes, feeling good. We know what we feel good eating and doing, so we need to cash in on that. We need to be more attuned to our bodies and listen to our bodies, and just try to, the foods we eat do affect our mood and our behavior. Okay, so just think about when you eat, how good you feel or you don't feel, and just try to work out and try to go in and investigate what works, what doesn't work, etc., etc. And you can just start eliminating and making little tweaks accordingly. And if you can save some money, that is great as well. But you know, over the last 2, 3, 4 years, we've started making cutbacks in our house. So we've gone from your spreadables, you know, from your sort of Benecols and your Flora spreadables, which is trans fats. I talked about this in my first class this morning. We had dietary fat, and the second class at 11 o'clock, they was on a session ahead. They're on sugar. So I was talking about that this morning with these trans fats. You got saturated fat, you got unsaturated fat, and then in between you got these modified vegetable oil type spreadable things, which is not real, not butter. It's a mixture, and it was caked in oil, and we're ploughing that because it's spreadable, it's in plastic tubs, got a lovely heart on there, etc. And it's full of palm oil, full of sunflower oil, and you don't want to be putting that in your body all the time. Okay, got nothing against oils, but hey, come on, let's get real. Let's get back to some butter, real hardcore butter. Okay, unless you've got heart problems or cholesterol problems, or you've been told by the medical teams, then, you know, but let's start going back to some basic stuff, some, you know, dairy, some milk, etc. Those who've got dairy intolerance, and look at things like ghee, GHEE, which is butter without dairy in it, used in a lot of Indian dishes, I believe. And I just splodged that on when I can't be bothered to chisel with a hammer and a chisel, get the hard butter. We get the grass-fed Kerry's Gold, KERRYS. It's about £2.30, £2.30, went up about 12 months ago to £3 a slab. It's now dropped to about £2, £2.20 for a slab. Grass-fed butter from Ireland, in Kerry. Kerry's Gold from the main supermarkets. We use that, and we chisel away at that when I can't be bothered to chip away because it's hard. I just get the ghee out and splosh it on my beans on toast or jacket potatoes because I can't be bothered. So yeah, so there's lots of different things, different hacks, but the point I wanted to get across as I head home, and it becomes a bit noisy on the main road, is think about nutritional dense foods. You know, you've got a handful of junk calories if it's crisps, if it's chocolate, biscuits, cakes, pastries, that sort of stuff. Okay, 100 calories worth of that compared to 100 calories of healthy nuts or broccoli or whatever. You know, might be the same difference in calories, but there's no nutrients in the junk and the sugar. There's no nutrients. Okay, so take what you will. But let's just try to get whole grains, whole meal into that. Same with any dietary changes. If you're going to start adding some more, so if I'm saying you need to get 30 grams of fibre, 30 grams of fibre in your diet a day, then, and you're only having 1 or 2 grams, first you need to do an initial assessment, how much fibre you're taking. So look at your food, back of the label, 100 gram, 100 mil. Now your loose items, your bagels, your fruit and veg has not got the labels on. They don't have to have labels in the UK. Each country is different, labelling laws. So the loose items in the UK you don't need to have, but 60-70% are in a packet, okay, packaged. So it's got nutritional labels. So look per 100 grams, and then look at the fibre content. A couple of slices of brown bread, for an example, that is made with sugar and water to extend shelf life. Unfortunately, it's not bread, so it's all fake bread. I know, a bold statement, but it's true. A couple of slices of brown bread is a couple of grams of fibre, you know, so have a look at that. So if you're going to increase your fibre intake towards the 30 gram recommended, average in the UK is about 18 grams, so we're about 12 grams of fibre short in the UK diet. So if you're going to add some more fibre into your diet, then incrementally add about 5 grams, incrementally 5 grams over a week or two every day. It'll fill you up for longer, make you feel better. If you've got any digestive problems, irritable bowel syndrome, acid reflux, that sort of, you know, gastro problems, and just be careful. You need to drink lots of water, add some fibre in there, will help you lose weight, and also fill your Google fibre foods, okay, and then start increasing your fibre. Anything I do say, just dietary change wise, make sure you're adding incremental over time. Don't take too much fibre on in your evening meal. The latter part of the day, definitely don't have too much fibre before you go to bed. And if you're optimising your sleep, I talked about this, and you want to prioritise your sleep, to optimize productivity, focus, less sugar the next day, less caffeine, less go to bed a bit earlier, wind down, don't eat an hour or two before bed, don't have too much fluids, too much water before bed, don't take too much fibre in that evening meal, because it takes so long to metabolize and break down, and it's hard to do if you're not moving. If you're moving and eating, fine. That's why walking after you've eaten or before you've eaten lowers the blood sugar levels, which is good both before and after food. Doing some exercises, but you don't want to be laying down on a flat stomach, okay, trying to go to sleep. So pull out the fibre, get that in towards the earlier part of the day, towards the 30 gram. But the point is, any dietary changes, then just add it incrementally over time with water, okay, or you'll be in the hurt locker. So adding some fibre, some whole grains in there, nice and easy. Still having your favourite foods, and a lot from what I've learned is people that want to lose weight and feel better, attune more into their body just with the foods they eat. And this is why you've got food mood centres that are opening up, and we do put in Google mood foods, and you'll see it. Click on images and you'll see visual, okay, and just start incrementally switching and swapping your little dietary changes, nice and easy. Don't go too extreme from, especially if you're feeding the 5,000 at home or you're feeding other people. If you go to rip out all the white bread, white pasta, white rice, etc., and just start putting them all on whole grains and wholemeal, then they might leave the family, they might leave the home. Now, if you want that and you want to try and get rid of them, then just make the switch from whites to brown, but they do need to be drinking water, okay? No, joking aside, just incrementally change. And remember, what's good for you might not be good for other people, okay? They're all different requirements, different energy balances, different body mass indexes, muscle stress levels, different heights, different weights, different genders, different ages, etc. So it's all different, okay? So it's not one size fits all, remember. So bespoke, tailored nutritional personalized programs and food and dietary intake depending on what they're doing, what activity levels, etc, etc. So let's just keep it basic, keep it really easy. Just start aiming at getting some whole grains, getting a bit more fruit and veg in there. If you're hungry at night, package, and you want to pull off the sugar, then what you want to be doing is just go to bed on a little bit of fruit, or worst case, just give yourself a little bit of honey, a spoonful of honey. That will shut the brain up and you get a bit more sleep, rather than having someone, and that will help you sleep a little bit more. But don't go to bed hungry. You can do, but just give it something just to calm it down. So whole grain, wholemeal, lots of water, and apparently, according to Professor Tim Spector at London King's, there's actually no science out there at all proving that 2 litres of water, taking 2 litres of water will save your life. Yeah, bold, I know. So it's quite interesting how we follow on myths and what we were told when we were younger, or the messages out there in the fitness industry that I've been in for the last 25 years, is, the health and fitness message is still to lose weight. You just need to move more and eat less. Whereas I've talked about it before, that's wrong, okay? And how many people have actually lost weight by doing that? How many people do you know that are moving more, they're working hard, too hard, and they're burning sugar, not fat? And how many people do you know that's just sorted a few dietary changes out and they've gone for a half an hour walk a day and they're getting better results than the person hitting the treadmill 5 times a week? Yeah? Because high state, and we talked about this on a few podcasts before, episodes on physical activity. And again, this will be session 4 on the program I'm going to be pushing out into the classroom school community, that zone 2 cardio, zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, according to Peter Attia's work, Dr. Peter Attia. Zone 2, zone 3, if you're going into zone 3, zone 4 and zone 5, which is the bottom of the pyramid, top of the pyramid, and you're pushing it too much, then you're going to be burning sugar, not fat. So you need to slow down to burn fat, okay, is the point. And the way to remember it is if you can hold a conversation as your heart and lungs are working, if you can hold a conversation, then you're in pretty much zone 1 or zone 2. If it's too easy, you're in zone 1. If you're just gasping for breath, you're on the borderline of going into zone 3, 4 or 5. So you need to slow down because you're burning sugar, not fat. Okay? And if you go too fast, too hard, one, you can't sustain it, and you're going to be burning sugar, not fat. And if you deplete your sugar levels, which is like your fuel in a car, you put your foot down in a car, okay, then you're going to be burning the fuel and you're going to run out of fuel soon. So the worst thing you can do really is have a pasta party like most athletes do. They carbohydrate up because they're not fat adapted. They're trained on sugar, the sugar system. Dr. Phil Mafferton talks about this and the Mafferton method, without getting too technical on here, but and that's why I've been conditioning myself. It's conditioned my body to use fat for fuel as a source. Like I say, I'm not perfect. Adding more fats in there and running on the fat within the body, not just sugar. You need a bit of both. You need a bit of sugar in the system for the end of a race to get past the finish line. Yeah, so depending on your goal, depending on your aims, depending what fat source, sugar or fat system, carbohydrate system, or you want to do fat, you need a bit of both. So I'm waffling now, I'm off track because I've not really thought about what I wanted to say, so I do apologise. But look at the Eat Well guide. It's not perfect, it's a guide. Eat Well plate came around in 2006, renewed in 2016, renamed from plate to guide. From age 2 years of age, it doesn't take into consideration the quality or the quantity of the 5 sections on the plate. If you're looking at the visual, if you Google Eat Well Guide Plate 2016, you'll see it. It's got confectionery on there out of the plate, which it shouldn't be on there, but it is. Hydration. You can now include tea and coffee, apparently. I don't agree with that, but anyway, who am I? And then it's got 5 spokes, that I won't go into now. But do a bit of research. That's just a guide. It's okay if you don't know what I'm looking at. And then when you're splitting a plate up, looking at a round plate, you want half the plate vegetables and salad, no matter what diet you're on. Okay, if you're eating meat or not, or plants or not, then there's no excuse for eating vegetables, half the plate, and then protein, however you're getting your protein in there, carbohydrates. So half vegetables, salad, a quarter protein, however you're getting your protein in there, and then the other quarter carbohydrates, starchy carbs with some water, get some fibre in there, fills you up for longer, etc. So that's all I wanted to cover, just an overview, a little bit waffling. So I hope it makes sense, but I hope it's give you a couple of golden nuggets. Check out the school community. Don't forget the scorecard, free health assessment that I've created for you. 30 questions, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I'll give you a quick report. You can see your scores. And then if you're in the school community, get onto the leveling up your scorecard free. Okay, and then we can have a quick chat on there and help you level up your scores. So I hope that helps. Have a cracking weekend. Thanks for tuning in to Eat Well. Don't forget, what's one thing you can take away from today you can implement in your own life? Who's one person you can share it with? Because when we share it, it's caring, also teaching ourselves and teaching others, and you'll recall the information better. Check out the notes in the episode notes. I push this onto YouTube and I also chuck it onto Spotify. So have a great night, or have a good day, have a great week whenever you listen to this back, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.